Good day everyone. So for today we are going to discuss all about photo imaging and post-processing. Let me give you a preview on what is photo imaging and post-processing. Post-processing is the process of enhancing an image by modifying the data that a camera recorded while taking the picture. The potential for improvement increases with the quality of the camera data used to construct the image. More and more cameras that can record raw data are now available on the market.
Post-processing is the use of any method or tool to improve the photographer's initial shot. Airbrushing was a former method of post-processing that was used to erase or soften elements from the source image. The advent of digital photography in the 1990s sparked the creation of software that would radically alter the original image, either to trick the viewer or to draw attention to a certain component of the image. Photoshop is the most used program for editing digital photograph. Photographic post-processing has long been done using the proper noun Photoshop. In 2008, the word photoshopping was added to the Merriam-Webster dictionary. At the end of this lesson, the student should be able to define photography terms and the effect each adjustment has on the image, make basic photo edits, and keep image quality. Learn the workflow of post-processing. Photographers use their camera to make us see life in different way, feel emotion and record stories in the event. Greek for painting with light and can be considered both an art and science. Is a science because there are basic principles of physics and government success, and photography in art because it's beauty and subjective. There are three basic types of photography. Number one is landscape, number two is portrait, and number three is documentary. Landscape photography is the photograph of the environment, a section or expanse of rural scenery, usually extensive, that can be seen from single viewpoint. Example landscape ay tag inland ag coastal scenery. Ansel Adams is the famous landscape photographer. Si Ansel Adams nga rahay isang ka-American nga landscape photographer, environmentalist known for his black and white image in American West. Portrait photography is a picture of a person or animal that shows an emotion connection. Tag-portrait nga ray, tagraya nga ga-focus man sa sang kabagay man akong sa picture man ng ano. Documentary photography tells a story without changing the facts. It can be a portrait or landscape. Remember that a good documentary photograph makes you wonder the story behind the picture. An exposure is a measure of how bright a photo is as it's saved to your memory card, sometimes referred to as finished image. Overexposure is when an image appears brighter than it should, or brighter than a neutral exposure. When too much light hits the camera sensor, it results in a extremely bright image that it's now overexposed. If a photograph is underexposed, it is darker than it should be. It should be because the film was not exposed to enough light. Photos taken by impact cameras are often dark because they slightly underexposed. Then yan na pinagkaiba overexposed ay rin nga mahayag manimaw kisa sa underexposed nga darker mo ay dahil nakukulangan sa light.
Good day everyone. For the continuation of our topic, I will discuss to you about the overexposed versus underexposed. First is photographic triangle. The first factor is aperture. It is the size of the hole in the diaphragm that allows light in the camera. As you can see at my back, this is the example or this is the image of aperture. Aperture is the most important settings when taking picture. because it determines the amount of light, the depth of fields, and the sharpness of the picture. Next is the aperture and depth of field. The depth of fields is a distance between the nearest and the farthest objects that are acceptably sharp focused in an image captured with the camera. It refers to how much of an image is in focus, especially the distance between the nearest and the farthest in the focus parts of an image. Next is the shutter speed. It is the length of time the camera shutter is open, exposing the light onto the camera sensor. Shutter speed can have a dramatic impact on the appearance and quality of photographs, especially when moving objects are involved.
The ability to use motion or to use motion to tell a tale or capture a vibe. Whether you choose to take a split-second snapshot with a shutter speed to portray the motion of a subject and a slow shutter speed photo, you're opening up narrative possibilities.
For example, when the shutter speed is fast, it freezes the action, but then the shutter speed is slow. You will start seeing blur and movement in your image. If your image are blurry, it's because your shutter is too slow. Film speed. Film speed is the measure of photographic film sensitivity to light, determined by sensitometry and measured on various numerical scales, the most recent being the ISO system introduced in the mid-1970s. Stops. A stop is a doubling or halving of the amount of light let in when taking a photo. For example, if you hear a photographer say he's going to increase his exposure by one stop, he means he's going to capture twice as much light as on the previous shot. Lightning. Lightning is a key factor in creating a successful image. Lightning determines not only brightness and darkness, but also tone, mode, and atmosphere. Lightning direction. The direction of light has a tremendous amount to do with the creating scenes of shape and texture in your image. To be a bit more precise, the direction of light controls the width of the shadows, and it's the shadows that create a scenes and texture in your photograph.
Warm light gives a natural yellowish color and looks natural, whereas cool light looks artificial and emits bluish color. Cool tones are frequently relaxing or at the very least subtle exciting. Cool tones might put you at ease or make you feel peaceful, while warm tones are also typically energetic and can arouse desire, appetite, or action. White balance is the camera setting that adjusts how colors are rendered in an image. A white balance setting has a numeric value, which is the Kelvin temperature. However, more commonly white balance presents are used which denote their ideal lighting, such as daylight, cloudy, flash, or various indoor lighting scenarios. First, get down on their level. Hold your camera at the subject eye level to capture the power of those magnetic gazes and mesmerizing smiles. Second, use a plain background. Before taking the picture, check the area behind your subject. Look out for trees or poles sprouting from your subject head. A cluttered background will be distracting, while a plain background will emphasize your subject. Third, use flash outdoors. Even the outdoors use the field flash setting on the camera to improve your pictures. Use it in bright sunlight to lighten dark shadows under the eyes and nose, especially when the sun is directed overhead or you're behind your subject. Use it on a cloudy days to brighten up faces and make them stand out from the background. Fourth, move in close. To create impactful pictures, move in close and fill your picture with the subject. Move a few steps closer or use the zoom until the subject fills the viewfinder. You will eliminate background and distractions and shows off the details in your subject for small objects. Use the camera's macro or flower mode to get sharp close-ups. Fifth, take some vertical pictures. Many subjects look better in a vertical picture from the Eiffel Tower. Portraits of your friends. Make a conscious effort to turn your camera sideways and take some vertical pictures. 6. Lock the focus. Lock the focus to create a sharp picture of center subject. First, center the subject. Second, press the shutter button halfway down. Third, reframe your picture while holding the shutter button. Fourth, finish by pressing the shutter button all the way. The seventh tips in grading is move from the middle. Bring your picture to life simply by placing your subject off center. Imagine a tic-tac-toe grid in your viewfinder. Now place your subject at one of the intersections of lines. Since most cameras focus on whatever's in the middle, remember to lock the focus on your subject before reframing the shot. 8. Know your flash range. Pictures taken beyond the maximum flash range will be dark. For many cameras that only 10 feet, about 4 steps away, check your manual to be sure. If the subject is further than 10 feet from the camera, the picture may be dark. 9. Watch the light. Great light makes great pictures. Study the effects of light in your picture. For people pictures, choose the soft lighting of cloudy days. Avoid overhead sunlight that casts harsh shadows across faces. For scenic pictures, use the long shadows and colors of early and late daylight. 10. Be a picture director. Take an extra minute and become a picture director, not just a passive picture taker. Add some props, rearrange your subjects, or try a different viewpoint. Post-processing can also surely help in enhancing the image, but might not be able to convert a really bad exposure to excellent one. There are various stages of post-processing based on what is the final result that one wants to achieve. First, fine-tuning of raw file. Second, converting raw file to easily readable formats like JPG, PNG, or TIFF. Third, editing of JPG to remove unwanted features. Fourth, mixing of various files to achieve creative results. Post-processing software, there are basically two things that are done in post-processing. First, an algorithm is run on all existing data of pixel and minor changes are applied to pixel data. Second, manually selecting and replacing the pixel data with total new data. There is software by cameraman, manufacturers, specialists, software vendors, and there are also freeware and free software available for taking care of post-processing needs. Raw file handling and conversation is possible in Raw Therapy, UFRAW, Darktable, Adobe Light, Adobe Lightroom, Camera Raw, and many more. JPG file editing is generally done in image editors that have various features such as green and red eye removal. For example, the GIMP or Adobe Photoshop or Photoshop Elements. Workflow of elements. Workflow of post-processing. There are a lot of changes possible during post-processing. Sequence of these changes is important as change made one stage can affect the effectiveness of next stage. Most of the software are also organized in a fashion to guide the users through a smooth workflow. Few actions can achieve great results when applied in raw file. This can also yield result in JPG files in case you do not have raw file. Some of actions that may be preferred while editing raw files are first, exposure value adjustment, second, white balance adjustment, 3. Hue and tone adjustment, 4. Highlight and shadow recovery, 5. Vibrance and saturation adjustment, 6. Cropping and rotations. Some actions that can be done at RAW or JPG stages are noise reduction or sharpening. Actions that preferred after conversion to JPG files are red eye removal, local touch-up of cloning to erase unwanted object in the frame, third, adding a frame mixing with other JPG file, changing the background.